na so palava. I tire for this problem, I tire for life, oh. Guinea, no work, no food, no house, no life. This small water then they bring na so dirty they full am. This small money I they get na social transport they chop am. School low, na headache, hospital no work. I tire for life, oh. My brother, waiting you they think, oh. My sister, help don't come. SDP, MKO, Kingibe, action. MKO, Kingibe, SDP, progress. Abiola na the hope, SDP na the party to solve our problem and better our life, oh. MKO, 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 action. Abiola, 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 progress. Now him be the hope for better tomorrow.
All right, if you were anywhere in Nigeria in 1993 and you definitely sang along to that at some point. That was a campaign song for MKO Abiola when he ran for president. And, of course, won, like we all know, before the elections were annulled on June 12th. But President Buhari, in a press release on Wednesday, conferred on MKO Abiola a posthumous honor of GCFR and also declared June 12th Nigeria's Democracy Day going forward. We're going to be talking about that. And here with me is Tundun Abiola, a lawyer, and of course, daughter of MKO Abiola. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Ebuka.
I don't know, were you surprised like we were about the news? Do you guys have any idea that this was going to happen?
We had no idea. I had an out-of-body experience. I thought I was dreaming.
It was a complete surprise.
It was a surprise because agitations have been going on for years, and it got to the point where we stopped expecting it because you learn to spare yourself disappointment. And this just came out of the blue, and I'm delighted.
Yeah. What was your feeling like? I mean, how did you get the news? Did you get a phone call or you heard it on the news from like everybody else?
When your parent is a public figure, you hear everything like everybody else. I mean, I heard my father died on CNN. There's not enough time for anybody to call you. Everybody's getting the news at the same time. Yeah. So that's just how it goes in this kind of situation.
Of course, a lot of people have said so many things about the reasons behind this. Does that matter to you at all? Why the president may have done this?
To be totally frank, no. It doesn't, not to me. I cannot be objective. May I never be objective about anything to do with my parents. To be objective about your parents means that there's something fundamentally wrong in your relationship with your parents. And I can't be objective, I make no apologies for that. But I also, I don't appreciate the level of cynicism that some people are expressing. Obviously not everybody. I don't expect a consensus of opinion, of course not. But I just feel that the level of cynicism is a bit worrying, and it's not factual. Whatever we do or say must be based on the facts. What is this sudden theory going around that, oh, Buhari needs the Southwest vote, which is why all of a sudden he's recognizing June 12th? How many elections have we held in the Fourth Republic? Nobody recognized June 12th, and they won the Southwest votes. So why all of a sudden would he decide this is what is needed? Of course not. There's no precedent that dictates that this is what he needs. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Everybody has gotten used to ignoring this situation that happened in this country, this very important chapter of our history. So I'm actually quite dismayed at the cynicism. I mean, people have every right to express their displeasure with certain things that have gone on in the country with policies and what have you, but it's such a shame that we've lost hope. As the jingle we just heard was talking about, it's a huge shame.
Talking about, you know, so many elections being held, let's take it back now to 1999 and President Obasanjo. What are your thoughts about him? And of course, he vehemently refused to recognize anything around your father. And, you know, when there was even talk about the fact that Democracy Day, because he declared Democracy Day to be May 29th, you know, and there were conversations that he didn't even want to have. What are your thoughts about him?
It seems strange that somebody who benefited from the death of somebody else would be the one who is so adamant about trying to completely erase it from history, but it's actually not. It takes the special grace of God to humble oneself and acknowledge a debt to anybody, to say, I owe this person that, I'm grateful for this. An egomaniac cannot do that. They're not capable of doing that. So he has to deny within himself and to other people. He has to tell himself that this is all me. I earned this, but he did not. We did not have an election in 1999. We had a coronation. My father had been killed. It's only somebody of his caliber for him to die, that the military now decided, okay, enough is enough, we do have to exit the stage. And in order to sort of placate the Southwest region, they brought out President Obasanjo, and he was appointed the president. He was not elected the president. That was not a free and fair election. So he knows all of these facts. None of this is in any way, you know, he doesn't miss any of this. So it's partly.
Why do you think that was with him? Why do you think he didn't want to do that, like recognize anything?
Because of how he got there. It's difficult for him.
To make it look like he earned it?
Ego is such a problem for most human beings. Most people cannot lay aside their ego. When you know you were not elected, you know you were selected and just, you know, appointed president by the military. Yeah. It's kind of galling for him to acknowledge a democratic process, and his ego will not allow it. And you know this whole thing of everybody wants to be the number one, even though the man has died. And we all know, okay, for example, I'm here today to talk about my father, because my relationship with my father continues, even in death. I love him. I loved him then, I love him now. I always will. President Obasanjo and my father had a relationship when they were alive.
I was going to ask about their relationship before.
So I think he's always felt inferior to my father. And that continues. What happened in their lifetime continues even after my father was dead. So that feeling, he cannot bear the idea of Abiola, he can't bear it. So he did not do it.
Have you met him at all?
Of course.
Since 1999? What kind of conversations have you
I
had?
did not have a conversation with him. Somebody who blatantly... This erasure that he tried to accomplish is so offensive to me. I have nothing to say to President Obasanjo, but yes, I have met him in the past. He was my father's friend.
What about Babangida? Because he's a big factor in all of this. The annulment was basically done by him, and he's granted a few interviews since then, and it's hard to see him at any point saying, or taking full responsibility or even apologizing. What are your thoughts on him and how this whole issue came about just because of him?
Well, again, ego. It's really difficult for anybody to be
Because we thought he was
humble.
friends with your father as well.
He was, but he was friends with my father. It's difficult for people to humble themselves publicly. But regarding IBB, he has actually apologized to the family. Now, this for
Personally?
me, yes, he has. He has. And IBB has said in public, but stopped short of an apology in public, that his life was threatened. He was afraid for his life. He was told by certain factors that Abiola must never be commander-in-chief of this country. We will kill him and we will kill you. And so he was afraid. He has actually admitted that publicly. Now, this is interesting to me.
What was he afraid of?
Of being killed. This is a tale of two generals. A general should never fear death. Really. So it's funny to me that a general would. And you now have somebody like General Buhari showing leadership in this regard. Back to Babangida, we often sort of lionize human beings, but these men are human. Their names are writ large in Nigerian history. MKO, to me, that's daddy, you know. IBB is somebody else's daddy. OBJ is somebody else. They're men, they're human. And they have their little whims and caprices. They have their failings. What we're seeing is ego, and from Babangida, fear. He did not want to die. So he annulled the elections. And also it just displays the way the military perceived those they were ruling over. Yeah. The entire country was in support of this mandate, but the military were like, we will not allow MKO. Who are you to say you will not allow when millions of Nigerians have spoken? Yeah. It's just so revealing, that statement in itself.
You say he has apologized to the family in private, but publicly we haven't seen that. Why do you think that is?
Ego. It's difficult to humble yourself, a whole IBB, the evil genius Maradona, to be sort of remorseful. Even for him to publicly admit fear with all of that, you know, legend around his person, it must have been difficult for him to do. He regrets it.
Yeah. The saddest part of this entire thing is, of course, the death of your father eventually, which happened under General Abacha, who, of course, is now himself passed away. That has never been it's still a mystery, at least in public. I don't know, have you heard anything from government with regards to investigations, or is there any talk about us ever knowing what happened?
Well, he didn't actually die under General Abacha. He was in prison for 4 years under General Abacha. General Abacha passed on a month before my father did.
Yes.
So my father died. I would hold Abdul Salam responsible for that. That was in whose custody he was at the time.
That's very true.